I found 2 cameras in Yosemite. Or maybe they found me. I woke up to the sounds of hysterical crying, peppered with my name. The voice belonged to my best friend, Leah. Her slightly nasal whine and the way she hiccuped between sobs was impossible to ignore. I rolled my eyes. There was no doubt in my mind she was worked up over something small. Perhaps her sleeping bag got wet, or there was a spider in her tent. Maybe her ponytail holder got caught in her hair. I'd seen her freak out over breakage to her perfectly upkept mane before. There's no doubt our friendship had a deep love that would last forever, but sometimes she drove me absolutely crazy. Why in the world I decided to go camping with her high-maintenance self in Yosemite, for a week nonetheless, I don't know. Dee, I heard her sob before screaming my nickname a little bit louder. Dee! Something wasn't right. I heard heavy car tires slowly rolling over the popping gravel, and the undeniable sound of gear being packed away. My phone was dead. The oversized body had slipped off the cable, connecting it to my cheap solar charger. Hands down the worst $20 I'd ever spent on one of those buy-it-for-less apps. My watch said it was 8. Based on the dew laying on my grey dome tent and the angle of the rays, it was 8 a.m. Shit, I said, wiggling out of my mummy bag. I'd overslept by an hour. We were supposed to leave for our hike at 7. That would explain the hysterics. Lisa was very type A and would be furious I'd cost us an hour of our itinerary. The first part of the hike would have to be spent kissing up and finding a way to make up for my tardiness. I slipped on my slightly damp jeans. They oddly smelt like mildew or wet laundry that hadn't dried in a few days. If my clothes were already going rancid from 2 days in a tent, this would be a super long trip. Leah, lower your voice, I heard a man say. My heart dropped and my breath hitched. I didn't know that voice. We've done everything we can. It's time to go. Get in the car and we'll finish packing up the gear. No, I thought to myself. No, Leah, don't go with him. I hurriedly threw on my boots. My fingers became caked in mud from grabbing the soles and the clumps of clay-like substance, grass, and twigs around my mummy bag. What the? I said out loud, interrupted by another loud sob from my friend. The zipper of my tent flew open with ease, and I burst outside. No, Leah, don't go with that man, I screamed. The scene that greeted me outside of my tent was shocking. Police cars, people wandering around in FBI jackets, the park rangers huddled over picnic tables covered in gridded maps. Something awful had happened, of that I was sure. Leah! I screamed again, running towards her. The shocked look on her face when her neck snapped to look at me sent chills down my spine. She took a step back, pointed her finger at me, and screamed. Wait! What? Leah, what happened? The campground went silent. Everyone turned my way. Jaws agape. A scent dog started to howl. From my right, I saw people running, and I braced myself for impact. Mum? Dad? I asked when I recognized their faces. I was smothered in hugs and felt their hands running over my face, my hair, and my body. Ow, what in the... Where have you been? My mum asked. Her face was stained with tears. Her hair looked like it hadn't been brushed in days. We've been looking everywhere for you. Everywhere. My head was spinning, and I felt like I was going to be sick. That's impossible. How did you even get out here? It would take you at least 2 days to make the drive. I had to yell to get my voice over Leah's screaming. 2 men were trying to get her to sit down, handing her water, and then I noticed her mum and dad flanking the other picnic table. Their eyes shot daggers into mine, as expected, since we didn't exactly care for each other. The dogs barked harder, one specifically pulling the handler towards me. His face was full of confusion as he desperately tried to get the dog to stand down. The dog would not obey. Impossible, I heard him whisper. An FBI agent quickly closed the distance from a black SUV with matching dark windows. Dionne, he said, his voice stern and unforgiving. I stammered out something I hoped sounded like a confirmation before asking for someone to please tell me what in the world was going on in this campground. "Where did you come from?" he asked. "My tent," I replied, confused. "Look, I don't know what's happening. I know Leah can be overdramatic, but I only overslept by an hour. Why didn't you just wake me up?" Even when these words came out, I knew the question was stupid. This circus wouldn't be happening for someone who overslept. My mind tried to go back to the night before. What did we do? Did we meet someone? Had anyone been fighting? Did I hear anything weird? More importantly, how had I slept through all of those people coming into the camp? "Wake you up?" His head cocked to the side and his eyes narrowed. He knew something, I could tell. I didn't trust him, his clipboard, or his closely shaven head. "Dionne, you've been missing for 6 days. I mimicked the dog handler who was now comforting a visibly shaken and uncomfortable German shepherd. "Impossible. That can't be. We just got here on Monday. What is this? Am I on one of those prank shows? Scare tactics? That's it, isn't it? You're all actors." The man dressed in a dark blue uniform, carrying an emergency bag, jogged up to my side. He started to roll up the sleeves of my hoodie. I swatted him away before wincing in pain. "Enough," I said. "This joke is over. Where are the cameras? Come out, come out," I yelled. The EMT forcibly grabbed my arm and rolled up my sleeve. I gasped when I saw the series of long scratches starting from the meaty flesh of my upper arm to my wrist. He put his hand on the small of my back and started to lead me to the picnic table. Mum, Dad, and the shifty FBI agent followed. I could hear Leah's frantic cries drop down to a whimper. "Mum, what is this?" "Dude, you've been missing for 6 days. Do you remember anything?" she asked, cupping my chin gently in her hand. "Anything at all? Oh, my girl, look at you." It's then that I started to feel the pain. Soreness in my jaw where her hand sat, pain when I blinked, stiffness through my back that felt like I'd need the world's best chiropractor to sort out, and as I removed my hoodie and rolled up my sweatpants like the EMT requested, I saw a mix of scratches and gouges in my skin. "I don't understand," I said under my breath. "We just got here, we went hiking. I don't remember anything after that, just waking up this morning in my tent to Leah screaming." The FBI agent crossed his arms over his heavy and solid chest. I didn't like the ominous demeanour or the way he tucked his black cargo pants into his tightly laced black boots. He looked ready for war, not like he'd been looking for a missing 30-year-old. "That hike was 6 days ago. According to Leah, you two were goofing around, picking wildflowers and jumping behind trees. Suddenly, you were just gone." "That can't be right, though. If I woke up in my tent, this morning." "Except you weren't there at our 4 a.m. patrol. Not to mention the scent dogs would have picked up on your trail and alerted us this morning. It's time to be honest with us, because this could be a very serious offence. When did you get in, and where have you been?" "I'm telling you the truth." My body started shaking. My mind hurt from trying to wrap itself around what they were saying. I had to remember what happened last night, at least the night I considered to be the previous one. "I don't remember anything. I think I remember being on the trail, but I'm not sure. I need to lie down," I said, trying to stand to my feet. The EMT placed his hand on my shoulder. Not much force was needed to keep me in place, not to mention the swarm of agents, officers, and dogs around my tent. I watched the search dogs circling. They weren't pointing at anything. They weren't notifying their handlers to anything around my tent, not even my sleeping bag. They weren't picking up on me at all. But the German shepherd that had caught my scent this morning, when I walked out, he wasn't there. He was still off to the side, visibly shaking with a confused and worried handler. Another agent stepped out of the tent and held up a vintage-looking brown leather backpack. "Is this yours?" he asked, looking me in the eyes. I'd never seen that bag before. Leah would know it wasn't mine, too. She'd never be seen in public with me if I carried something so outdated. There was a long scratch down the front, just like the ones on my arms. "Yes," I lied, loudly, quickly. "That's mine. I took it with me hiking. But why? How?" For some reason I knew I needed them to leave that bag alone. I held my breath when the agent didn't, and started to open it up. He pulled out a worn leather notebook and flipped through the pages, all blank. Next came out an older body-style camera. I noticed there was no screen on the back. Film. "No!" I screamed. "Please, the film inside is for an upcoming art exhibition. I can't afford to lose the advance or to repay it. Please, I'll develop the film, and if there's anything on it, I'll let you know. Trust me." I watched in astonishment as he pulled out one more camera. Newer, obviously digital. "This one's yours too?" I nodded. He didn't believe me. "Brand and type. If it's yours, you should know." He was testing me. I didn't like it. He wanted the camera, but so did I. "Canon 40D, I guessed, and hoped it was right based on what I could see of some of the body and the markings. A 40D would put it somewhere around 13 years old. "I don't like to hike with my most expensive body," I said, hoping he wouldn't know that the camera was only 10-ish megapixels and a colossal waste of space and weight to someone with a smartphone, or someone claiming they were shooting for a gallery. I couldn't even sell stock photos taken off that camera. I let my breath go when he tossed the body back into the bag and walked the soft leather over to me. He set it down next to me and turned back to the tent. "Keep cataloguing everything in there. Take samples of that dirt. Photograph everything new. Nothing else leaves," he said. I wanted to feel like I won, but deep down I knew he'd let me keep that bag for some reason. Anything else belonging to me was being tagged, bagged, and put into bins. Even I knew this was odd behaviour for a simple lost and found case. I winced and yelped when I felt the sting of alcohol against my skin. "This one will need stitches," the EMT said. "We should probably get you to the hospital, grab some x-rays and blood work. Do you know the date of your last tetanus booster?" 2013. I took it before going on a trip through Southeast Asia." "Good. Did they give you a rabies vaccine too?" he said, looking intently at the scratches. "No, I don't think so. Why? What's going on?" "Nothing," he said. But the way his fingers lingered over a particularly deep scratch on my elbow didn't feel like nothing. When he turned to walk away, I noticed the back of his shirt also said FBI, and his cargo pants were tucked tightly into his boots. He was buffer than any EMT I'd ever seen, and the one thick scar on his tricep seemed to have the same jacket line as the one on my leg. Somehow I didn't think a rabies vaccine would matter at all. "Where were you?" Leah screamed, appearing in front of my face. "I was worried sick. I haven't slept. I haven't showered. We looked everywhere for you. Everywhere. Do you understand? Helicopters, special goggle things. Hundreds of people. Everywhere." When I looked up, her face looked aged, her skin dry, a mortal sin in her book. Bags sat heavy under her eyes, more full than shopping bags at the Nordstrom annual sale. Her face was the first thing that made me believe what everyone had been saying. Leah would never allow them to make her look that bad if this was a prank show. Suddenly the scale of operations around me set in. This was real. Something had happened. Something I wasn't supposed to come back from. I needed to see what was on those cameras, and I knew in my gut that I absolutely could not go to whatever hospital they wanted to take me to. G'day guys, and thank you so much for listening to this video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you did enjoy it, I would love it if you could please subscribe and comment, and maybe tell me if there's anything you think that I could improve or make it a better experience for you. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful day.